What people don't know is that I didn't get paid for any of the weddings I did in 2023. Every single one of them was free. Well, I have no branding. I don't know what my colors are. I have no logo. I have no equipment. I have nothing. But, the Lord really uses the small that you have to do big things. Because I'm just like, well, I wish I had a camera. I wish I had, lights and all these other things like other content creators have. I had none of that. I had my iPhone 12. The videos I was making on that phone was what was going viral.
Wow.
Unintentionally, I was not even trying to do that. I just went to record people's things, but yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of God CEOs podcast. I am your host, Ashley, and I am blessed to be here.
Leading with purpose, serving with a heart. That's the God CEO's way. May God use this channel to create many entrepreneurs. Amen.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the God CEOs podcast. I am your host, Ashley. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh my God, guys. I am so excited. I'm elated. I want you guys to notice I have no cue cards today because I don't need them. I'm ready. I'm prepared. I know exactly what I'm going to ask. I know exactly what I'm going to say. And this episode is going to be one that is definitely going to bless you. So if you need a second, get comfy, get cozy, get a drink, get a little snack. Because today we are blessed. Our platform is blessed with my good sis, Manney from Manney Got the Shot. Woo! We need a sound like like a sound effect machine. Okay, maybe for next season, because that would be lit. How you doing today?
I'm blessed. Really happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Girl, thank you for coming. Maybe one day we'll share the stories on how we got here and the trials and tribulations. But one thing I can say is God is definitely faithful. And I just want to honor you for your yes. Like, y'all, Manney, like, sometimes you see people on social media, they're like, okay, they're nice, they're sweet, they're kind. But, like, no, Manney's actually nice, sweet, and kind. Sometimes you see people on social media and, like, they're not really who they present to be. But, like, when I tell you this girl, like, she's a woman of God, but, like, she is I just love her so much, and I'm super grateful, and I really honor you for your yes, and just your encouragement. Like, we've talked in text, and, like, you've encouraged me. So I just want to say I thank God for your life, and I bless God for your life. And I know you've touched me in the short amount of time that we've known each other, but I could just imagine what you do for, like, your clients, your friends, your family. So I just really want to honor you in that way.
God bless you. Thank you. Wow,
you're amazing.
So sweet.
Like, you're literally amazing.
And I can say the exact same for you. What you're doing with this podcast, you're breaking barriers, and people are benefiting from it. So God bless you for listening to the voice of the Lord.
Amen. We bless God. Okay, so I'm like, okay, should I hit them full force? Should I take it easy? Okay, let's talk.
Do it all.
Let's just talk a little bit about just you as a person. I know currently right now you have a business. Tell us a little bit about your business.
So I'm Manney, and I founded Manney Got the Shot, which is a digital content creation company in 2023. But really, Manney Got the Shot started in October of 2020. Two really, really dear people to my heart at my church asked me to just capture some behind-the-scenes content for their wedding. And then I did that, and I really enjoyed it. Then I noticed that I was doing it for more and more weddings as the years went on. At the time, though, I was also a teacher, so I couldn't really do it full time. So every now and then, if someone was doing a wedding and they wanted me to just record some DS content, I would just, show up and do it. And then I thought to myself, like, this really could be a business. And I had that thought in, like, 2021, but I never actually thought that it could actually be a business. 'Cause I'm like, who's going to pay me to record videos on my phone? Like, that actually sounds kind of crazy. So I never really went into it seriously. So I was just like, oh, forget it. And then when I decided to quit my job as a teacher, which a lot of people are thinking, like, you're crazy for doing that. Like, what'd you do that for? But I know deep in my heart and deep in my spirit that my grace for teaching those kids lifted. It actually lifted a year before I quit.
Wow.
But I just didn't know what I wanted to do next. I spent so much time applying to jobs, and it just was not working. And then I think one day I got really frustrated. I, like, slammed my laptop shut, and I'm like, forget LinkedIn, forget it. I'm not doing this anymore. Wow. And the minute I did that, I got my first booking for Manney Got the Shot.
Wow.
Because leading up until that, I was, like I said, I was doing, covering weddings for friends and family for free. And I was just like, I just really enjoy, capturing these moments and being able to tell the story of what happened the day of their wedding. And then, that's kind of how it started. And I think there was a sister at my church who got engaged, and my first lady asked me to come and record it. And that was like the first official video from Manney Got the Shot.
Wow.
So then it got a little bit quiet. I was like, okay, well, I have no branding. I don't know what my colors are. I have no logo. I have no equipment. I have nothing. But the Lord really uses the small that you have to do big things, because I'm just like, well, I wish I had a camera. I wish I had lights and all these other things like other content creators have. I had none of that. I had my iPhone 12, but the iPhone 12 was what was making, like, the videos I was making on that phone was what was going viral.
Wow.
Unintentionally, I was not even trying to do that. I just wanted to record people's things, but that's kind of how it started.
That's an amazing story, and I love that, like, your steps was truly ordered, and it seems like throughout the process, God was always with you, which I think is amazing. Talk a little bit about, your teaching experience, because even like following you on social media, you can tell you're like a true born teacher. I've seen your videos, and even sometimes when you have like your friends come and help you, you're like teaching them on like what to do, holding the light.
Yeah.
I seen a video where like you were teaching bridesmaids like dance moves, and like you were really truly like in a teacher hat. So you have the gift of teaching, but what made you say, you know what, I have the gift of teaching, but it's no longer fit for the classroom? I know you talked about the grace being lifted. Talk a little about like, what is that practical feeling? Maybe someone's watching who's like, you know what, I want to leave my 9 to 5 and I want to, chase entrepreneurship, but how do you know that it's truly God and not just doing what, my flesh craves and I just want to be this entrepreneur?
Right. I do actually love to teach. I love to learn too, and I think that kind of is the reason why I love to teach. But I also think that this gift is actually hereditary, because my dad was a teacher when he was younger too. And my dad is the type of person too, when he learns about something, he wants to tell you about every single little bit of what he learned about. And I'm kind of the same way. So I think that's kind of what birthed that desire to teach. But, prior to being a teacher, I was also a Black liberation activist. Like a lot of people, I mean, I'm not.
What does that consist of? Wait.
Yeah. So I went to a predominantly white institution called St. Michael's College in Vermont. And that's kind of where that was born, because I was one of the few people of color that was on campus. And I'm Ghanaian. And I feel like for a lot of people who are from West African homes or African homes in general, like a lot of our history doesn't really consist of like a civil rights movement per se, here in the United States of America. Definitely colonialism and, slavery and things of that nature. But, topic of like independence, we didn't really have to fight because we were Black or of African descent. So when I got to college, I feel like I started to learn more about that. And I'm like, this explains why, people would ask me certain questions like, you're from Newark, so like, does that mean you're from the hood, or like, do you know Lil Wayne, or just ridiculous, ridiculous questions. And then on top of that, when I would say that I'm Ghanaian, like I'm from West Africa, they're like, oh, so like you have like pet animals back home?
Do you live in huts?
Exactly.
Hey,
like,
sister, huts.
They're like, oh, like lions, elephants. Meanwhile, I've never seen a lion in my life. I've never seen an elephant in my life. I'm just like, y'all, please. So what ended up happening was that there was a lot of injustice happening on my campus. So I was really bold in that era of my life. And I was leading protests. I was confronting white students.
Wow.
I was the president of the Martin Luther King Jr. Society. I was the president of the Diversity Coalition. I was the secretary for diversity and inclusion for student government. Like, I was literally in there. Like, I was doing all of that. And I think everything came to a head when I and 2 other girls that I know led a protest on campus. It was a huge deal. We had a lot of newscasters come and everything, and it was a lot. It was a lot. But I think that experience kind of carried over into teaching, because I knew that when I came back to New Jersey from Vermont, I mean, there was no revolution for me to lead in Newark. So I was like, okay, I got to get it together. But I also really, really loved working with young people. Even when I was, I'm still young. But even when I was younger, I really enjoyed working with other youth and empowering them and things of that nature. So the job, the teaching job that I had was a perfect blend of both interests. Like I was working with young people who are amazing, who are often forgotten or passed, people pass them by because they're from Newark. And then I was teaching African American literature. So that was a way to also bring in my activism background into that. So that's kind of how that happened. So in teaching the students, I was able to teach them about themselves, their history, and things of that nature. But I knew that as time went on, I believed that the students just got worse in terms of behavior. And that was really difficult for me to deal with because my first year, I'm teaching 18-year-olds. They got some attitude. Right. Some people feel like they're, they can talk to you anyhow and things like that. But they didn't realize that I'm from Newark too. So, we don't have to go there.
It's in me, baby.
Exactly. Hey. So yeah, like I think with them, it kind of got worse, and I think that when COVID happened, because teaching during COVID that's a whole nother podcast. But teaching during COVID was also difficult. And I just could feel that I just wasn't able to, the community of love and fellowship that I had with students was gradually just being torn apart because of COVID, because of people having a lot of issues at home, because of the lack of support from the school that I was working at. So it became so difficult. So by that fourth year of teaching, I was like, time
to go.
Especially, I think when I had students like try to like buck up at me, and I'm like, let's not do that, because that's you're not gonna go there. But I was like, you know what? Yeah. So I think that's what I mean by the grace lived.
Yeah.
Like I just had to take a step back. And of course, I would love to be back in the classroom. And I would love to find myself in environments where I can teach again. But I think for this season, I just gotta take a little break.
Hey everyone, it's Ashley from God CEOs.
Hi, my name is Mama Mensa. I'm the founder of Inner City Wellness, NYC.
And we are inviting you to Brunch and Bloom.
It's happening on July 12th in New York City.
This is going to be an amazing event for all of our women Christian business owners and business owners to be. Tickets are out now. Make sure you invite a friend, and the link will be in the show notes below.
Remember, the goal of this brunch is to sow seeds of success one business at a time.
Now let's get back to this episode. I love that, and I think
that's a long-winded answer.
Oh no! The people need to know the details, especially because I think sometimes people just see business owners and they're working in their gifts, but they don't know that there's a history and there's a past behind it. And I think even to you doing all the things, like the activist things, God was building leadership into you. Yes. And also, like, again, cultivating your gift. And I think even when it comes to you transitioning and leaving the teaching space in the classroom, it kind of feels like God has to frustrate you to like move you. And I think sometimes we look at, the negative and the bad and be like, okay, God, why is this happening? But if that frustration doesn't enter our spirit, we will not move. We will not pray. We will not tarry. We will not do different things. And then we will not be in our purpose. So exactly. I think I love that God did that. And it seemed like you have handled it with grace. I know it probably was hard, but you obeyed. And I think that's also beauty in trusting God and literally letting him lead your life. So
yeah, I think you have to trust God if you're going to be an entrepreneur.
Tell me about it.
Because being entrepreneurship is literally like walking on a tightrope. You could fall, but you also just know and trust that the Lord will have his hand out for you to kind of hold you still. Kind of like what he did for Peter when they were on the boat. So I think that you have to have faith in God, but you also have to have faith in yourself. Yeah. You have to respect what the gift that the Lord gave you, because if you don't, people will walk all over you, or it won't go as far as you want it to go. So being in entrepreneurship is the biggest test of faith, obedience, and trust in God.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure. And I think even as you say that, I even think about, yes, you need to have trust in yourself and faith in yourself, but you also need to put in the work.
Yes.
You can't be lazy. And I know a little bit off camera, we could talk about it now. You talked about your serving in the church and your consistency in the church and doing those things, and that allowed you to even be disciplined in your business. So talk a little bit about some of the stuff you've done in your church and kind of how it has been able to translate and prepare you for, this season of business.
Yeah. I think that service, I believe, is such a huge part in building certain principles and practices that you need as not even just an entrepreneur, but just as a person in general. I think that my service in church has built a lot of different things in me. One, stamina. I can go and go and go and go for hours if I really wanted to. But that also comes from me having to cover the social media for a 12-hour prayer marathon, like something like that. I also think that it helped build my character in the sense we're interacting with other people. You got to work with a lot of different personalities, you know, on any team, really. But then when you're working with different characters while you're serving too, I feel like low-key, like, it's always going to be a test, right? Because, like, someone could make you upset, but you can't respond like you would in the typical corporate world. You have to think about your faith and your salvation when you're responding. So stamina, character building, but then also grace, like really understanding God's grace and how his grace is like, I guess, that energy booster that you need to keep moving forward. But then also his grace in the sense that you understand that the Lord is carrying you through this, not your like physical, you know, body. And I think that my service in church has been such an instrumental part in who I am now as a business owner, because honestly, everything that I'm doing now, a lot of what I'm doing now could be, you know, trace back to what I've done in church. A good example of that is, you know, learning how to use a camera for the first time. Now, I've been doing content creation since about like 2018, and I used my phone for everything. But then in church, when we wanted to take the quality up a notch, you know, we got a camera, and I was like, I don't know how to use this, but I'm gonna make it work. So I was watching tutorials. I was asking people at church for advice on how to, you know, do things with the camera. What's ISO? What's the aperture? What's the shutter? Like, what are all these different things? So these are all things that I learned, you know, while in service. And I think that the practice of that, like constantly recording every week, like, okay, well, I'm making the mountain road today. Like, I got to make sure that it looks good. Or I'm making, I don't know, a recap reel today. I have to make sure that it looks good and it's able to tell the story. So these are all things that kind of helped me grow as a content creator, really, but also as an entrepreneur. And then also on top of that, the messages that I'm learning, or the sermons, I should say, that we're hearing at church also helped build certain principles, like understanding the principle of, you know, being a good steward over the little that you have, whether that's finances or equipment, why, so that the Lord can bless you with more. So I think that my service has been so important in that aspect. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to serve in the house of God because, like I said, I think it's definitely shaped who I am today in my business.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And I love that you talk about servitude because a lot of times people see this gift and they just want to jump into like charging and making money and all these things and like business, which is understandable, right? It's like a good urge and a good willingness, but I think servitude is the way to channel that willingness, and then from there you'll be able to elevate. And I think naturally when you serve, God will just elevate you. It doesn't have to be in business, but just generally. So I love that it started with a lot of servitude. And I know you mentioned like grace and capacity, and even recently I know you went to Germany, and then but you came back, you transported back to make it to this proposal. And I seen on your story you talked about leaving early. Talk a little bit about that, just that instance, because I think that just shows, one, your commitment, but the capacity and the grace that God has given you to just be able to maneuver in an aspect of business, but then also serving, you know, those that you love.
Yeah, I think when you understand, and this kind of goes back to that posted a couple months ago, where I talked about the weight of the vision and the weight of the vision.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah, so
we're gonna get there.
when you think about because, for example, someone like Mary, who I love very, very much, very dear to my heart. We're not just church sisters. She's like my actual like friend. So, and then I was also serving my cousin in Germany too, because it was his wedding. And I also love him and his wife very, very much. So I also believe that a lot of my drive in terms of the grace that I'm carrying to do all these things back and forth also comes from the fact that I genuinely care about the work that I'm doing, but also genuinely care about being able to tell someone's story and tell it well. So when I went to Germany, initially I was like, okay, I'm going, you know, I'm going to do this wedding and then I'm going to extend the trip because I need a break. Because, you know, yes, grace grace abounds and grace is always there, but I'm also human, so I be getting tired.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, like I'm exhausted. And in Germany, it's a 6-hour time difference. They are 6 hours ahead. Wow. So when I was like, bro, I'm tired. So I'm like, I'm awake, but I know that physically my body is like asleep. But like Germany feels like it's a day ahead of us. So I remember the night that Mary's sister Gladys had called me, and she was like, oh, okay, well, Mary's going to propose on Tuesday. I said, hold up, wait a minute.
Hold on.
Yeah, I was like,
hold on.
Because I had an idea that it was going to happen, but I just didn't know it was going to happen so soon. I was like, okay, I'm still in Germany. I was going to extend this trip. I was like, no, I'm tired, but I have to find a way to be there for Mary. And I think that when you have a heart for the work that you do, that also pushes you to kind of sometimes go beyond physical exhaustion. It can feel like to be there for that person. So for me, especially with that particular instance, it wasn't just about being there to record something or for Manney Got the Shot to be there, but I also witnessed, Mary tearing. I also, I've seen what she's been through. And as a fellow eldest daughter, I know what she's experienced too. Like, her younger siblings getting married before her. My younger sibling got married before me. Like, I just understand her story so much. And because I just have a genuine love for her and her family, I said, I have to be in America. So I was like, Daddy, we gotta go. Told my dad, we need to go back now. Because he was already gonna leave before me anyways. And I was like, I have family here, so I can stay here as long as I want to, really. So I was like, no, we have to leave. We have to leave as soon as possible. So by the grace of God, we made it right on time. And then, so I really thank God for traveling mercies and his grace, because sometimes I look back and I'm like, I don't know how I did that.
How did I do that?
Because I'm not going to lie, I was tired, but the adrenaline and the excitement of everything just had my eyes wide open for 2-3 days. Yeah. So I definitely felt it afterwards. Yeah. That 6-hour time difference knocked me out the day after, but
yeah. We thank God for your grace and your capacity, but also it's a level of sacrifice. Yeah. Because even for you to say that I'm on a trip, and granted you came to do content and serve your cousin in that way, but now it's like, okay, it's me time. It's time for me to, heal, restore, rest. And then I get another phone call of now having to serve someone else. And someone could be like, you know what? I'm not going. I'm not doing it. Like, yes, I love you, but, I'm not here. I'm not available. So I think even that level of sacrifice, and I know when we sacrifice things for God's children, he will always replenish us. So I think that's amazing to hear. And we bless God for even giving you that grace and that even willingness to sacrifice, because you could have been like, you know what? It's a thought in the back of my head, but we'll push it to the side, So I love that.
But I think sacrifice, not to cut you off, I think sacrifice is a part you have to do as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Whether it's a financial sacrifice or a physical sacrifice, that's all a part of what you're doing in order to push out the mandate that the Lord has given you. And I feel like we serve the God who literally sacrificed his own life for us. Yeah. So I think being sacrificial should be a trait that a lot of us as Christians should already have. Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's true. Even about sacrifice, talk about, what would you say was one of your biggest sacrifices, just business-wise? Whatever you're comfortable sharing. Hold on. You've gotten this far in the episode. You haven't liked, comment, subscribed, or even shared with a friend. Okay, that's fine. But now's the time to do it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help us over here at God CEOs, and it lets us know that you are enjoying our content. Share this with a friend that you think needs this message. Now let's get back to this episode.
I think my biggest sacrifice would probably be when I started doing Manney Got the Shot full-time in 2023. What people don't know is that I didn't get paid for any of the weddings I did in 2023. Every single one of them was free. So whether I had to travel 2-3 hours to somewhere, I remember there was one wedding I did. It took me 4.5 hours to get to the venue. Yeah, and I remember getting to the hotel, I was like, what am I doing? But then I also thought to myself, like, no, this couple, like, they need to be celebrated. They need, an account of their day because they deserve it. Like, they have such a powerful story, and that story needs to be heard. People need to see it. So, 2023, I got $0 for every single wedding I did. And, it's so funny because I think that year I had some of my most viral reels. And, you know, I know people were like, oh, well, you should be compensated. But I also don't share that information with other people because people also sometimes don't understand that, like, as an entrepreneur, especially in the content creation, I think, industry, sometimes you do have to make those sacrifices and do something for free in order to get that exposure and build your portfolio. And 2023, all the weddings are for free.
Wow. God bless you. And God did bless you because I think even to know you, those viral reels are what people got to see your work and see your creativity and see like the funniness. Like, I'm not the groom, I'm the groom. That video sometimes, even when I'm bored at home and I just want to laugh, I watch that video.
Honestly, that video, first of all, they'll have to beat us up over that video. I didn't even want to make that reel. And it's always those reels that always end up blowing up. I was like, y'all want to do this so bad? The guy's like, yeah, no, Manny, we have to do it. I'm like, okay.
It was funny.
So I recorded and everything. And then I think I posted it, after Sunday service, I think the weekend after the wedding. And it just blew. I was confused. So I went to bed that night. I'm like, okay. I was like, 20K views. I was like, okay. And then a couple hours later, 100K. I was like, hey, what's going on? The next day, 200 and something K. And it just kept going. Then I saw 7.8 million. And I was like,
wow, glory to God.
This is God because it's definitely not me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even want to record this video in the first place.
Right.
But no, like, and that really boosted, you know, my business. And a lot of people came to know Manney Got the Shot through that video. Even though they was tearing Manney Got the Shot up on Twitter.
Really?
And on TikTok, girl, yes.
On Twitter? About what?
About, I think one of the guys said, I'm not the groom, I'm the groomer.
Oh, no, but that was the funniest part.
But yeah, but like, he didn't know what to say, but I had no idea it had other connotations. And so people were like, oh, da. But, you know, it was all in good faith. There was no ill intent behind that reel. And I don't care. It's a good reel and it's blown up. So, so I'm really grateful for that. So, yeah.
I think also that even makes me think about another point. People don't understand sometimes with the weight of having a business, especially a business that's in the light, that gets a lot of views and all the different things like the backlash, the negativity, the hate comments, things like that. So how do you deal, like even in a situation, I didn't even know about it, but how did you even deal with a situation like that? Because someone can see that and be like, dang, okay, maybe I should delete it. Or, you know, it hurts your self-confidence and it hurts who you are, even though you know that wasn't your intention. But at a point when people are tearing you down, it can bring you down and be like, you know what, let me take a break. I can't deal with this. Oh, let me log off. Let me take time off away from my business. So even in moments where the comments are loud and the noise is loud, what would you say to even an entrepreneur that's like trying to stay grounded and rooted because you've done it?
Yeah, I think in that moment, the first thing I thought about were my clients. I texted Mike. I was like, Mike, you want me to delete this? I'll delete it right now. I don't care. Because I think for me, I always obviously you always put the client first. So I didn't, and it's not just the groom, it's his groomsmen too. So people were also tearing them up too. Yeah. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, this was a joke, guys. It wasn't anything like that deep. Like, it's a play on what we've seen brides and their bridesmaids do all the time. So it's not that big of a deal. So I remember asking Mike, I was like, you want me to delete it? He was like, no. We love it. He loved all the engagement, everything. He was like, we're in our group chat laughing about it. No, leave it up. And then I also thought, okay, well, what measures can I take now to also, like, have some people chill out in the comments. So, and I love how Instagram they have a feature where like you can limit certain things or like put certain words in that people can't type in, which I think is a great feature. Big up to Instagram for that. So I did that. So I just took the necessary precautions to kind of limit some of the rude comments that were coming in. And I mean, sometimes if I have to turn the comments off, I will. Like on Instagram, it did a lot of numbers. On TikTok, it did a lot of numbers too. It would have gone further, but I was like, you know what? I'm being strategic with this. I'm waiting for this video once it hits 1 mil. Because all the comments, because you know, the more a video gets more comments, the more the app knows to push it. So I was like, okay, yeah, let me just get to my 1 million. That's all I need. Got to my 1 million and took the comments off on TikTok. And you know, they were upset, but I was like, listen, that's all you guys going to get out of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for any entrepreneur, I would also tell them to also pick their battles. Like, some things don't necessarily need a response. like, I never did a response video for that thing or, like, put a disclaimer.
I didn't even know about it.
Exactly. Because I just feel like I know the intent of this video, so I know that y'all not about to make this a whole nother thing. So I just, limited the comments, turned them off on TikTok, but kept them on Instagram, and that was it. So definitely learn to pick your battles. But then also, I think these are the moments where you really have to use discernment. Like, you have to think, like, is this video, like, who is it benefiting?
Right.
And is it building people up or is it tearing people down? Like, you have to ask yourself those questions. But then there's also moments where it's like, you shouldn't keep quiet. You should say something. Like, I remember somebody in one of my comments was trying to say, like, the FCC in Nigeria is watching you. You got to spray money. I'm like, it's a good thing we're in America and not Nigeria. So don't even do that. So I had to respond. So, like, sometimes, obviously, you should know when to respond because people also make judgments off of the 15 seconds that they've seen. I'm like, you don't know who this person is. You don't know what they've been through. Oh my gosh, that even reminds me. There was a wedding that I had. The groom was not feeling well, and he was actually not feeling well leading up to the wedding. And that morning was a lot for him, like, to the point there was like, should we just put this wedding on, like, should we postpone it? Or, like, because I want, everybody wanted the groom to feel better. But by the grace of God, through some prayers, he felt a lot better. And I remember someone made a comment like, oh, he looks a little bit thin. I was like, if you only knew what happened in the morning, you would not even open your mouth to say anything. So I had to shut that down. So yeah, people are always casting judgment off of the little that they see. But that's the thing with social media, right? You're only seeing what's being presented.
Right.
You're not in the room with these people. You're not there the morning of when you're getting ready. Like, you're not there the morning when the bride's dress rips. And we have to find somebody to come and stitch it back up. That actually happened to me, but before, oh my goodness.
I have a question that you can say. Talk a little bit about, and we have Ruthie here, and it was amazing having her, but just talk a little about the grace of being in the wedding industry. Because that's not an easy industry.
It's not.
So talk a little bit about kind of what are some things that you do, like a day of an event, like just to prepare yourself the night before, leading up to it, because I know there's a lot of, preparation in terms of like tools and stuff, but like what are some of the mental preparation? Because especially you being the one to recording content, you're on a schedule, something goes left, now you're delayed. Now if the content's too delayed, now the bride is late, then the elders are upset. Like, it's a whole trickle down effect. Yeah. So what do you do to kind of like prepare yourself?
Well, one, I always ask the clients, like, if there are any particular reels that they want. Well, actually, before I get to that, the content creators in the wedding industry is still kind of like a new phenomenon. If anything, the content creators, even though I feel like the content creators play a really significant role the day of, I mean, obviously I would say that because I'm a content creator, but I only say that because, at one point, I would say that it's still kind of an issue now. Like, there's this strange tug of war tension between the photographers and videographers and the content creators. I've been pushed as a content creator by a videographer. I've been ignored by other vendors as a content creator. And I'm just thinking, like, you know what? This is when you have to be strategic. Yeah. Because you have to think that the content creator is pushing out the content, sometimes live or sometimes afterwards. And it's the content that goes viral first before the videographer and the photos are ready. I know some, like, now videographers and photographers are getting on their Zoom and they're trying to post in real time, which is good too.
Which is good, yeah.
But, the content creator is important in the sense where it's like, okay, now all eyes are on this. Yeah. Like, we see that, oh, somebody is getting married in this place at this time. I love the dress, blah, 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 blah. That actually builds anticipation for them to now wait. I can't wait to see the photos, or I can't wait to see the official video.
Which takes time, yeah.
Exactly.
And you guys tag all the vendors.
Exactly. So, and there's been so many times I'm in a room and there's an idea that I have for a particular shot that I'm trying to get. And then the videographer's like, oh, can y'all do that again? Exactly. Because I just gave you some new shots. Exactly. Same thing for the photographer. Like, I think content creators serve as, the creative catalyst for all the media vendors in the room. So there's that. I think in terms of preparing, though, first, I always ask the client what they want. And sometimes they send reels, and sometimes they really stern like, this is what I want. Even if I think it's a trend that's like overplayed, like the My Fiance trend.
Oh yeah.
I'm so tired of that trend.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's been done to death. Like we've seen it. We get it. You're the fiance.
My fiance.
Exactly. But it's a great trend, and I forgot the creator who made it. I gotta go back to my files because I remember the first creator who ever did it. I think I immediately followed her after that because she's amazing. But anyways, ask the client what they want, and I have it down. But I always have a backup plan. Because the thing is, sometimes people underestimate how much time that they actually have. Because it's like, okay, you want to do this whole movie production, but you started the makeup late. You know, the hair is still being done. The photographers are here now. And, you know, I try to get a lot done before the photographers and videographers come, because once they come, it's their show. Yeah. Like, unless they already know you or something, like, and you're like, oh, like, go ahead and get your shot. Or unless there's time, you can go ahead and get your shot. But then if there's no time, there's only but so much you can do. But that's why I always have a backup plan. So if we can't do My Fiance, we're going to do something else. Yeah. Something else that's really quick. And simple. And I also think that as a content creator, you have to be quick on your feet and think like, because technically everything can be content, you know, you just have to be smart about how, or strategic about how you are going to push it out. Like, for example, I'm trying to think of okay, so the wedding I did in Germany, we were supposed to do, it's a trend with the Chris Brown song on TikTok. They're like doing a dance and everything. It's like it's a really fun dance. I was like, oh, we should do it with the whole bridal party. And the time was just running out. And I was like, okay, not on our side. Now I need something to replace that reel. So we kept going in, and then I realized that the groom, he was dancing a lot, but then after he was dancing, he would just take a step back and just take like a few deep breaths. And I thought that was so funny. So then I just kept getting so many shots of that. So then the reel was Gerald versus the dance floor. So it would be him dancing. And then it would cut to a shot of him just like
deep breathing
hard and just bending over like, I can't do this. And I was like, see, this is how, you know, sometimes you have to be quick on your feet and think about something else. Because I remember, I think there was even another time where I wanted to record the bridal party coming in, and and then they did a section where they started dancing and battling each other, but I couldn't get that shot, and I was like, dang. Now I need something to replace it. So I just did a dance battle between the groom and the bride instead. So you got to be quick on your feet. So have their plan, have your backup plan, and be quick on your feet. You have to know what you're doing because sometimes you only have a few seconds to catch something. I think I also covered, there's another reel that I did for a Haitian wedding I did last year. And I could tell that the photographer and videographer, not that they were over me or anything, but they knew they were out of time. And I was like, I just need 10 seconds. That is all that I need. And I was just going through, like, the bridal party had them line up in 2 lines. And I went through them and everything, and I did the shot, and then I was done. That reel got 5.7 million views.
Glory!
10 seconds.
Hey!
If they didn't let me, like, and I... Yeah. I
feel like you be knowing. It's a grace. You have a grace. Like, no, you have a grace.
But the thing, too, is that, like, I was like, no, I need to get it. Because I'm just, in my mind, I'm just praying. I'm like, Lord, let these people just favor me just for 10 seconds. Yeah. I just need 10 seconds. Yeah. And then I did it. And then, you know, it blew up, which wasn't even the intention. But I also knew that day, there was a lot we were supposed to do in the morning that we didn't get to do. So that goes back to what I was saying about being quick on your feet and always have, like, a backup plan. Even for Alexis's wedding that I did in September.
That content? Hey, that content.
Alexis and Matthew's wedding was good. It was good. And I think, and even that day, like, I had some of my friends help me.
You had your friends help you with it's so funny, recently, just randomly, I went on your page and I was just like watching it, because I'm like, they're like a TV show. Like, I was just watching and it was so funny. And it was even watching how the behind the scenes of the Judy K room, how you had like your friends go and like record Matthew and then you were doing Alexis. And I just loved how, like, a level of grace, but it's like this holy strategy that's just upon you, because It's like, to think that, okay, let me go do this and then have someone do this is like, It's amazing.
Yeah, no, because I already knew before I did that wedding that this is a high-profile wedding.
Yeah.
I don't care what one says.
True.
Even if you don't know about KFT or anything like that, you know Alexis and you know Matthew. So I knew that everybody's going to be watching.
Yeah.
So even before that, I had to think, like, I need some people to tell me, because I am a one-woman team, which is a lot in itself. But I knew that with the amount of content that we wanted to record, I just had people help. And I remember there was 2 reels of Alexis that we had to do. One was like I think it was like the reveal, and everybody had their cameras out, and she was covering her face with the
sign.
Yeah, with the sign. And she almost didn't do that. She was like, Manny, we gotta go. I was like, Alexis, 30 seconds. 30 seconds, that's all that I need. I have the light here, just 30 seconds, and we did it. Then there was another one where she did the tuba, the Simon,
Simon, yeah.
So then I was like, no, let's do it. And then we did. I was like, okay, I'm not really feeling that. Let's just do it one more time. And I knew we had just a few more minutes.
Crunch time.
And then Alexa was like, Manny, why are we doing this again? I'm like, listen.
Just trust me.
Trust me. And we did it, and then it ended up blowing up. A lot of people keep saying that that's like their favorite reel from that wedding. And I'm just like,
you be getting the shot.
Just need, by the grace of God,
you be getting the shot. Manny be getting the shot.
You just need to be quick on your feet. And I think what some people, and that's another thing I learned from church. Like, you know, first of all, I know that my first lady's only going to walk out of this room once. If I know she's going to walk out of it once, there's no time to now think, I need an SD card. I need this, I need that. Let me adjust it. No, you have everything set up and ready beforehand. And also moments in general, once a moment is gone, it's gone forever. You will never get that same emotion. Even if you let the person do it over again, it will never be the same as the very first time that they did it. So I think when you keep those things in mind, it really helps you like strategize and figure out what to do next. And also know your clients. Know your clients. I knew, like I said, I know that everybody knows Alexis. I know that everybody knows Matthew. So I knew that people were going to watch. They wanted to see everything. And I think I had another client who actually have a client coming up. And from what I've like observed, she seems to be really big in the Haitian community too. So I'm like, you gotta do your research, you know, on the people that you're recording. You just never know, you know, whose stuff is gonna blow. And sometimes just the added notoriety that they have can also help things travel fast. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but
you did, and you gave us more level. I feel like even just hearing everything, there's a level of diligence that comes with your craft. Yeah, and I love that. Like you're just so you're so diligent. Like, I think, and even when you were talking, I'm just like, when you do your content creation class, add me to VIP list, okay? Add me to the VIP list because I need to take some notes. Yeah, no, because. Because even all these tips and tricks, I think when people don't understand how much it takes to even push out content. Besides even the editing, but just capturing the moment. And I could definitely see, even with you having the grace of teaching, you having a sold out class and people learning and being blessed. So when you have that class, add me to the VIP list. I'll be there because I need to learn some tips and tricks myself. Because all of these things is like people just think, oh, it's easy, but it's like it's so much that goes into it. Yeah. There's a level of diligence. So we bless God for even giving you that grace and just helping you in your endeavors. It's amazing. I wanted to talk. I had this funny question. It's random. How much time do you think for someone who's getting married they should encompass in their planning of content?
Oh,
random.
I think the earlier the better. Like, I know it might sound crazy to some people, like a year in advance if you want, but also a year in advance, you're also sourcing all your other vendors too. Well, at least a year in advance. I know some people do it in a short notice amount of time, but when you're sourcing all your vendors and you want content, you should also include that into it too. Because I think people just think that like content creators are kind of just waiting for someone to come along, but there's a bunch. I know a lot of other content creators who have bookings. We have bookings all the way up until the end of the year. So you have to think fast. You know, that contract and that deposits before, like my, I guess, what's the word?
Like your verbal, yes.
Yeah, like it just speaks before, oh, like, yeah, we're friends. So like, I'm going to do it. No, I love you very much, but you guys have to be, you know, on top of it. Yeah. So I think... I know a year sounds crazy, but I personally think a year in advance is a good time to source all your vendors because there are videographers, photographers who are booked out. Like I have bookings in 2026 and 2027 already by the grace of God. So like you just never know. You just kind of have to be on top of it.
Yeah,
so,
I love that. And my next little funny question is like the day of, right? We're getting married. It's the day of, whether it's, traditional, if you're Ghanaian or African or just white wedding. How much time in the schedule should be allotted to content?
Depending on what they want. For example, like...
If you want the full shebang, you want everything, the reels, reviews, everything, the behind the scenes.
See, for when I do my wedding, because I've been to a lot of weddings, I've covered a lot of weddings. I'm even gonna do pre-content, like literally a week or so before, if you recording things and getting it out the way.
I'm stealing that idea.
Yeah.
Because
you have to think like, when the day comes, there's so much going on, so anything can kind of go through fall through the cracks. So I think allotting a good amount of time is important. And you never know, maybe something might take longer than usual. So like, if that means that I had to wake up, instead of waking up at 5 a.m., if I had to wake up at 3 a.m. to start doing stuff, I will. As a bride, that's just what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Of course, other people, there's no pressure.
I'm making that faces, but I'm on the same boat as you.
But yeah, like depending on what you want to shoot, like. Because, for example, I have a really good idea for a pre-wedding, kind of like what I did for Alexis and Matthew with the Judy K video. Like, I have an idea for that. And I'm thinking, like, man, like, something like that, it's a lot of working pieces. And then, like I said earlier, once the other vendors come, like the photographer and videographer, you're now splitting time with other people. So I think, I know some people, like, they put like an hour aside for like the videographer and photographer. Personally,
tell us.
I would just add a little bit more time. Like if it's the morning when people are getting ready, I would add 2 hours to that, because it really depends on the content too. Some things don't take that long to make, but then there are other things that have a lot of moving parts to it. Like a mini music video, for example, like that takes time, and it's literally only by the grace of God that my friends helped me that day. Because that reel would not be in existence if I didn't have another set of people that can go to the green while I was with Alexis. Because it got to a point where it's like, okay, well, they need us at the church, and they're still here taking pictures. I was like, no, I need to get this, because I know what this reel is gonna do. I must get this. So yeah.
I want to talk about you being a one-woman show, but you're going to come back. So when you come back and then you have your full team, we can talk about that process. Yeah. By the grace of God. When that happens, you'll come back and we'll talk about it. I know time is fast spent. I have so much to talk about. I can talk to you forever. Let's talk about your Instagram post that you talked about the weight, the actual physical weighting, but also the weight, the heaviness. Talk a little bit about just that post, and it will be on the screen so people can reference it.
Yeah, so it's so funny because I was writing up, someone took pictures of me at a wedding, and in the pictures, I'm holding a ring light, I'm holding the camera, I'm holding the phone, I'm holding all these different things. And I remember in that moment thinking like, man, God, please help me, because this is a lot and there's a lot that I have to do. But I also know that I want to be able to give my clients like the best of the best. So I kept reflecting on that moment. I just kept thinking about just like the symbolism and the meaning of what was like physically happening with me carrying all these things, but still having to carry out a particular, job. And I just thought about, okay, wow, the weight and the weight of it, like, the weight of it is heavy. I had all those things on me, and I just kept thinking, like, man, how long do I have to do this before I become a millionaire? Yeah. But then that also translates to the weight the waiting period of these things, because things don't come just like that. You have to really work for it. But then you also have to consider that, like, the weight of it is, people not seeing the work that you're doing behind the scenes, like, people not seeing that, like, you're a one-woman show. People still ask me today, like, oh, you do all that stuff by yourself? And I'm like, yeah. Like, the only time I had help was for Alexis and Matthew's wedding.
Wow.
So, people don't know the amount of hours that you have to stay up editing and, making sure that you're cutting things and making sure that things look presentable and making sure that the client will actually love it, or committing to their creative vision behind the content that they asked you to make. So that's the weight of it, right? That's the heaviness of all of it. Like, no one sees all the behind the scenes things that you're doing. But also have to understand that you have to wait, literally. It takes time to kind of get to that, peak that you want to get to in whatever industry that you're doing. But there's a lot of people in the Bible who had to wait for, their blessings. Like, people waited years, decades in order to see the manifestation of the work that they were doing. But it's important to understand that all of that is a part of the process. If you try to skip over that, I just think it makes the work harder for you.
Right.
And then it also, don't get on God's nerves by trying to go ahead of what he's trying to set up for you, because you have no idea what that preparation period or that waiting period is going to do for you. I remember, you know, when I first started serving at my church on the social media team, I had no idea that all the things that I was dealing with, or all the things that I was going through, or all the things that I was learning in church was going to set me up for this moment. So I think that reflection is really important for any entrepreneur, especially any entrepreneur who's in Christ, because you need that to help you stay grounded in the work that you're doing.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you even mentioned that, like, while you're in the waiting, God is preparing you and he's birthing something in you. It could be in your prayer life, but it could also be in the skills, because let's say if you just, you know, wanted to start working and then jumping into a business without like actually truly serving, you might have not been able to know, okay, schedule this, do that. It was through the process of you learning and serving that you actually were able to know, okay, this is how to go about it.
Right.
And that's why you now have a business of excellence. Yeah. If you didn't serve, you wouldn't have a business of excellence.
No, literally.
You wouldn't be as diligent as you are now. So I think even in the preparation season, even sometimes though it feels like, you know, this sucks, God is birthing something in us that's going to allow us to be, you know, the greats of the greats that we want to be. So I love that. And even when I read that caption, I was just like, yeah, this is it, man. Listen,
all glory to God.
If this little few minutes that we spent with Manney doesn't make you realize, okay, yeah, she needs to be a consecrator for whatever event. Let me tell you guys, she doesn't only do weddings. Why? She does everything, okay? All events. Make sure you book her, because it's so funny.
God bless you.
Even before we got on the show and like I even like thought of like having you, literally I was like, I'm gonna have Manney for my wedding. And it was because I seen that you had posted just about Alexis and just like how the Holy Spirit was downloading certain things for you to do. And I feel like a lot of times we don't see that people are being led by the Spirit and are doing things. And I think even when you are led by the Spirit, because he's our advocate to help us, he is going to perfect everything concerning you. So even you working with a level of diligence and working with a level of excellence is the Holy Spirit doing it. So it's like, if this is a Holy Spirit-filled woman of God recording my best moments, oh yeah, I need to have her there by force, by fire. So I think
I can't wait for your wedding, girl.
Pray for me.
It's gonna be
oh yeah,
good.
it's gonna be, and I'm taking the idea of the pre-wedding.
Oh yeah,
the pre-wedding content.
No,
that
you know who actually did a little bit of that? Gladys, for her wedding. She did some like pre-wedding stuff, like a rap video and all that. Like,
oh yeah. I did see that. Yeah.
So,
I think that's a good idea. So future brides, future grooms, this is a little hidden gem Manney just gave you. I think this is the perfect time to just even segue. Season 2 theme is Anointed to Answer the Call. And in this, we have a segment that's called Named and Anointed. And even with season 2, it is deeply rooted in Luke 4:18-20, where Jesus is just talking about having different gifts and going out and really doing things. But then even while I was in the process of, you know, navigating season 1 and transitioning to season 2, I learned that like our names have a lot of meaning, a lot of power. And if you've watched the past episodes, I kid you not, every time we do this segment, the name relates to the journey. So, of course, we have a little something for you under your chair. Go ahead and look at it. Show the people and just read it out. Period.
Okay, so Manuela. Okay, Manuela means God is with us and is a feminine form of Emmanuel, a name rich in biblical significance. Found in Isaiah 7:14 and again in Matthew 1:23, Scripture declares they will call him Emmanuel, which means God is with us. This name is deeply connected to the birth of Jesus and speaks to God's presence, comfort, and nearness. To carry the name Manuela is to hold a promise that reminds us God is present and involved in every part of the journey. It beautifully reflects divine companionship and assurance, aligning perfectly with this season's podcast theme, Anointed to Answer the Call, because we never answer the call alone. Amen.
Amen. Girl, if that's not you, then I don't know what it is.
No,
Because even when you were even talking about like from your journey of like teaching to even now fully being a content creator and having your own content creating business and you even being a one-woman show, if it's not God with you, then how can you do anything? So all glory to God.
I love that you're doing this. I think the names, because you know, anything that comes out of your mouth is a declaration. So whenever
Yeah.
people say my name, Manuela, it's always a reminder that God is with me. Even in times where it feels like, man, I don't know if he's here, but I'm always reminded that he is.
Yeah.
Every situation, every single situation, I'm constantly reminded that he's here. And it's so funny. A little story about my name. My mom named me Manuela because she had so many issues having children. And she said that she named me Manuela because I was evidence that God was with her.
Wow.
So that's how I actually got that name. So, yeah.
Wow.
God is intentional.
He is. Oh my God, he's such a good God. Tell the people what you have coming up. I know you've done a few international bookings. You went to Paris too.
Yeah.
How was Paris?
It was good. It was good. Actually wish I could have stayed there longer. But the thing is, like, me and French, we like this. I don't know. All I know how to say is bonsoir Dijon, which is good evening mustard. That's it.
Wait.
Yeah, it's not a real sentence. So every time
all I know is oui. That's
yes,
it.
I know no type of French, and I'm not the biggest fan of the food, but their sweets are really good.
Yeah.
I think coming up next, I have a really special, I guess you could say, giveaway coming soon. And then, of course, a few more international gigs by the grace of God. And and I do want to eventually do the class. I just feel like doing a class actually takes a lot of time and
planning.
effort and planning. Exactly. So once I have a little bit of a breather, by the grace of God, we can prepare for that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to making more memories for people through content, and yeah.
That sounds amazing. And I think everything that God is going to do with you is going to be 10 out of 10. And that class, I'm telling you, I'll be there because I'll be there with my notebook, because if you felt blessed by this podcast, imagine the hidden gems that she's about to put in her class. So when it comes out, make sure you guys lock in and get your ticket. So tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Manney Got the Shot. And I have a website coming soon, finally. So that will also help me, streamline a lot of the communication and inquiry stuff a little bit better. So yeah, I have that coming soon. And yeah, at Manney Got the Shot on all platforms.
Hey guys, you heard it first. Manney got the shot. Manney, I'm so blessed. This was amazing. And again, I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm gonna keep saying it until I can't say it no more. If you have any event coming up, make sure you book Manney. She is the woman for the job, okay? She's gonna get the shot. You heard her, what she said. All she needs is 10 seconds. 10 seconds. That's it, and she will get the shot. So make sure you guys book her. Guys, this is the God CEOs podcast, and my name is Ashley. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we will see you next time. Bye.